Welcome back on another episode at the Customer Freedom, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host for this podcast, Marvin Tikio, and today I have a very special guest. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Marcus. I'm a digital nomad here working in Medellin right now.
Okay. Welcome, Marcus, and thank you so much for being part of this podcast. So today we'll discuss why and how you became who you are as a digital nomad. So let's start off with what do you do as a digital nomad?
Yeah, so right now I currently work at a food creative agency. So I do a little bit of everything, just graphic design, social media, photo video production.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do basically it's like digital marketing in a sense?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. So when you were a kid growing up, did you dream of becoming a marketing or a digital marketer in a sense, or what did you dream of becoming?
Yeah, I don't really know what I dreamed of becoming when I was a kid, but yeah, I studied marketing and worked in a lot of like small startup companies. So, and it's allowed me to like wear multiple hats and be kind of like a jack of all trades. So I've been enjoying it so far. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you I don't know did you go to college for this or?
I went to college for marketing, but then I worked at a small agency first, and then they needed graphic design, so I did graphic design as like a hobby, and then I kind of went to night school, self-taught graphic design, and then I did like photo video stuff. Yeah, just mostly self-taught, but mostly
Interesting. So you went to college, but you also had like it seems like you were very passionate about it for you to be doing it on the side.
Yeah.
So I guess you chose something that you knew you would enjoy doing
Exactly.
while going to college.
Yeah.
Do you think most people that go to college for marketing end up with a successful career as you, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I know I went to school for marketing, and it's allowed me to like do all these jobs in agencies and stuff like that. But like, I do a lot more like creative stuff now. So it's just like, I felt like I needed like a creative outlet to like, get my stuff out there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So straight out of college, you said you worked for a startup.
Yeah.
Interesting. How did you get that opportunity? Did you like intern or?
No, I just really applied, and then it was like such a small team. There was like 4 people, and they needed someone who could do multiple things, and it just worked out. Yeah.
And you said you ended up doing something that you weren't expecting to be doing on the job.
Yeah.
Would you say that benefited your career in general? Or?
Yeah, definitely. So after that, I worked at another small creative agency, and they primarily hired me to do like social media, but then such a small team, like I did more stuff in like creative side, more graphic design, and then we ended up doing mostly like video stuff. So I produced like music videos, TV commercials, so it just kind of
interesting.
that,
And you gained that like skill too, I guess.
Yeah.
So when you say creative agency, do you mean like digital marketing agency or literally creative agency? I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, well, like it's like depends. So that one I was talking about, we did stuff like ads and commercials and stuff, and then and then that company kind of wanted to do music videos, so that was kind of more creative things. Right now I do food, so it's just like food commercials, food photography.
Interesting. I think I've seen like some like TikTok commercials on like food. It makes it look like so professional.
Yeah, there's a lot of work behind that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what would you say on your day-to-day job is like one of the most challenging things you have to like overcome on like a day-to-day? Like what does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so my day-to-day is pretty not too bad. So I'm in the same time zone as Toronto in Medellin, so it kind of works out. So I don't have to do too much of that. But yeah, Mondays, a lot of meetings, trying to like catch up with the team, and then it's a lot of either my day varies depending on what tasks I have that week. So sometimes I have to do a lot of graphic design. So I guess the biggest thing there is like trying to coordinate with the clients. Clients sometimes get in their own way, so I think that's a big challenge. And then, but working with my team has been pretty easy. Yeah.
Interesting. So for like I don't know, I think that for most people that want to get into your space, one of their like obstacles, I guess, is figuring out whether they need to go to college or not. Do you think that you could have became who you are without going to college, given that you had the passion to build the skills without when you weren't on the job?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like for me right now, it's hard for me to tell people to go to college unless they specifically need like that degree or that something like to be a lawyer, doctor, or whatever. If you're trying to be in like the creative space, honestly, just doing work, just even do like mock work. So like get your name out there and then just apply for jobs and just figure it out that way. That's how I would tell people how to do it.
Do you think it's easier? Do you think it's possible to get into your space without going to college?
Yeah, I definitely think it's possible.
Interesting. Wow. because I would think that like the resume holds like a lot of weight when it comes to applying to jobs, and maybe some people might get overlooked when they don't have a resume. Say they went to like a specific college.
But yeah, it's definitely true. But I always tell people it's like college only gets you to your first job, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, it's all about how much experience you have.
Yeah.
So for me, if like you do either freelancing, you go like the freelance route, or just like if you're trying to like be in a creative agency and you just make a whole bunch of like mock work, like fake clients or whatever, like you can show your skills that way. I
Yeah.
find you can get a job that way. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting, bro. So you can literally get into your space with just like proving that you can do the job.
Exactly.
That's kind of like coding, right? Like
Yeah.
I think you don't even need a resume these days. If you can prove that you can code, you can probably get into these big tech companies as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay. So I guess going to college, what was one of the most challenging parts of your major? And would you say that it was easy going to college as a marketing major?
Yeah, I don't think it was too hard. Like marketing is a lot of like what I did is a lot of just like case studies and a lot of like learning and stuff. So yeah, I don't think it was too hard.
And like, it sounds like going to college, your parents didn't like pressure you to be a doctor or a lawyer.
No.
Yeah. Because I don't know, what did your parents think when they heard you were going to college for marketing?
Yeah, no, they were happy.
And I don't know how college works in Canada.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., student loans and financial education seems to be a burden for people.
Yeah.
If people go to college without really knowing their finances.
Yeah.
How does that work in Canada? Do you like pick up a bunch of student loans, or is it like a better?
You can get student loans. My parents luckily paid for it. It's also not that expensive in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like you had a pretty good route.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So when it comes to traveling and doing your day-to-day job, what are some challenges that you go through as a digital nomad?
Yeah.
Like does it affect your work efficiency? Does it make it easier because you get to explore different cultures where you can capture all these footages and explore your talents?
Yeah.
Like how does that fit in?
Yeah, no, actually it's been pretty good. Like I was back in Toronto, it's like, I work more, so now I only work like 30 hours. So I have less time to work and more time to like do stuff. So it's just like I actually found it easier in terms of like being motivated to actually do work because I actually just get my work done and then just explore my stuff. Yeah.
Wow. When you were growing up, did you, I don't know, is this your first time traveling, I guess? Or did you have like a travel culture when you were a kid?
No, I actually didn't travel too much as a kid, but pre-COVID, I lived in Australia and New Zealand for 3 years.
Okay.
So that kind of started my journey of wanting to travel more.
Wow. So how did that journey start? Like, how did your perspective change when you lived out there?
Yeah, a lot. So like I really needed to like travel more because I didn't really do too much like solo traveling, and I really wanted to get out of my bubble.
No, yeah.
So it was like a big thing. Like I just noticed that I wasn't growing back home. I wasn't just doing the same thing year after year. So I just really needed to get out of my bubble. And I just like, I need to go somewhere far. So I just picked Australia.
Interesting.
Got a working holiday visa. And yeah, I worked out there. I worked out in Australia for a year and didn't really want to go home. So I'm like, go to New Zealand, did that for 2 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy,
Yeah.
bro. That's what's up, though. That's what's up. Not many people, I've never heard anybody do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe one person I heard do that like for 6 months or something.
Yeah. No,
Wow,
yeah, it was
that's
3
wild.
years. It was great. And it was good. I actually got jobs there as a graphic designer.
Wow.
So it was pretty good. Like I've always considered myself like half a graphic designer, and then I got a full-time job in Australia as a graphic designer. I'm like, I guess I'm a graphic designer.
I'm legit. Yo,
Yeah.
that's tough though. That's tough. Okay, so so given that Australia and New Zealand are very developed, and
Yeah.
we're in Latin America now, and
Yeah.
it's very underdeveloped, how has your perspective of the world changed since you come to Latin America
Yeah.
compared to when you went to Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, definitely changed a lot. Yeah, that's the best thing I found about traveling is like getting new perspective and like learning more about like I found I learned more about my own country leaving it than leaving it. Totally, yeah. So it's like you get the perspective of like how people view Canadians and how they want to like go to Canada and everything. And yeah, and the difference between Australia and New Zealand and here, yeah, it's definitely a big difference, and I did want that change. So like I knew over there was gonna be easier because it's more developed, and then now picking a new place, I wanted to go somewhere like a little less.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a bit about graphic designing and video production. For someone who wants to become a graphic designer or a video producer,
Yeah.
what are some skills that they must have? What are some skills that you see in yourself that allows you to do your job effectively?
Yeah. That's a good question. So for me, since I do lots of different things, like I always call myself like jack of all trades, master of none, you know?
Renaissance man.
Yeah, so I like doing that. So for me, personally, I like to do very different work that helps me be engaged a lot. If I'm just doing one kind of thing, it kind of gets boring for me.
Yeah.
So that helps in terms of video production. Like if you're producing things, you have to do a lot of different things. So like when I produce like music video or like TV commercial, so many things. I have to do different casting. I have to find, since I've worked for small companies, I have to find like sets. I have to do just random PA jobs. So I feel like being able to just think on your feet and do a lot of different things would help there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what would you do to build those skills? As you said, I think when you were working for that startup, I think you were also doing some work on the side as a hobby.
Yeah.
So what kind of work were you doing to build up that skill set that allows you to do many different things at once?
Yeah, I think it's just always keeping like a student mentality, always wanting to learn is definitely a good asset to have. Always trying to learn, always trying to improve yourself. So I'm like when I'm doing graphic design, always like following cool designers that I like, that inspire, and try to like do work on that side. In terms of video production and like being a producer, is like just getting out there, talking to people. It's a lot of talking to people, talking to different types of people. So that helps.
Why do you talk to people for? Like to get clients or?
In terms of producing?
Yeah.
Well, producing, you have to talk to so many different stakeholders. So it's just like you have to talk to like actors, you have to talk to whoever the director is, make sure they're going good. You have to talk to whoever the client is. There's a lot of like different moving pieces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you said the most challenging part about that part is what?
Oh, the most challenging is just like, yeah, definitely dealing with different people, time management, and like managing expectations.
Interesting. So if you're doing a lot of video production and you're out here traveling the world, how do you meet people in person? Like how does that tie in?
So yeah, it's different now that I'm working remote. So I actually producing more online now, so it's fine. So like, let's say for like a photo shoot, right? So I would talk to the client, make sure the client get any of their needs, whatever the client needs. Then I would do a shot list, get that shot list, and then I would coordinate with my team back in Toronto. So I'd make sure the photographer knows what he's doing, he's okay. The food stylist knows what they're doing, they're okay. And then basically once that's done, all the post-production work, and then bringing it back to the client. So now that I am remote, so it's kind of different now. Yeah.
Interesting. So with all these skills and experience with clients, would you say that you're up to, like, are you willing to stay in your job role for the next 1 to 4 decades, or how do you see your career transitioning or progressing in the next couple of decades?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Like I do like working in creative agencies and stuff like that, and it's been great for now. I do want to kind of start some kind of passive income stream, so I can obviously do less work and travel more. So just like being traveling more, I do want to focus on trying to get traveling more.
Yeah.
But I also like I'm a big movie geek and stuff, so I obviously want to work on like movies and stuff, so like short films and kind of stuff like that. Yeah.
That's dope. I think you're in a very creative space and a very good space given the trend of technology and society. Yeah. Do you think? Okay, so this is just a random question, but do you think that anyone that speaks English around the world can get your job, or do you think it's just like, or you think that there's just more opportunity for people that are in developed countries?
Definitely if you speak English, you can definitely do it. It takes a lot of work. You gotta have like a good work experience, I guess. But it's just also just like projects. Like even if you don't have like real paid client projects, like just working on any type of projects, like to build like your little portfolio. I think it's the most important.
Interesting. So we've discussed why and how you became a digital marketer in a sense.
Yeah.
And apparently it just takes, the skill set, you analyzing your skill set that you can work on many different things as a Renaissance man, and also like basically, I guess just being good, yeah, in many different little things, and having it as like a passion so that you don't get bored on the job.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's dive a little bit into your perspective and philosophy of life.
Okay.
Do you have any philosophy you wish to live by?
Any philosophies that I live by? Not like anything specific. I am a big advocate for like people traveling and like getting out of their bubble like
Yeah.
recently. So since I've done it and the impact travel has had on me is really profound. So it's like I always try to tell all my friends back home who hasn't really traveled much or hasn't really left their like hometown to like really do that to get a perspective. So it's like, yeah, a big thing I do advocate right now is like travel, trying to live somewhere else, even if it's just for a short amount of time, just to get that perspective on the world and like get out of your bubble and grow.
Yeah.
I think is a big
So
thing.
you value growth,
Yeah.
and I think that's a very
Yeah.
necessary skill to have
Yeah.
as a digital nomad as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, that's tough, man. And do you think that what can somebody do in their in their lives on a daily basis to help them? Because like I don't know when I look back, right, and I think that like how many people don't have passports in the U.S. for example.
Yeah.
It's like 2/3 of Americans don't have passports,
Yeah,
right?
crazy.
So I'm thinking there has to be some kind of factors that prevent people from getting passports or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think someone can do? Someone that has no opportunity or someone that's not educated can do to put themselves on a route that can help them travel and gain that perspective. Do you think they just need to get a passport? Do you think they need to just, I don't know, like what would you do if you were in the system and you wanted to travel?
What I do, yeah, I don't know. Like, I know it's very hard. I know North Americans, Canadians, Americans don't travel that much, and I find that kind of sad. But like, yeah, it's hard. I guess a path you could do if you're like starting from scratch is like you could either like volunteer, do like workaways. Have you like heard of that kind of stuff?
That's a very smart.
Yeah, it's
perspective.
like just like workaways. I know a lot of people who did that where you just work. You work like 2-3 days a week, and then you get all your like room, food, all paid for. It's like you don't make a lot of money, but then also trying to find out some kind of like digital nomad skill that you could do. Like there's coding, there's graphic design, there's so many things that you can start from scratch and kind of work your way that way. So I guess that's how I would start it.
Oh, that's a very legit perspective that I would take, honestly. Yeah, do you think people are just lazy or?
I don't know, it's just lazy, but just like I know from my experience and my friends, people are just comfortable and complacent. So it's just like you're comfortable, you're complacent, you have all the things you need, and then it's you just don't know what's out there. So if you're not knowing what's out there and like the perspectives you can gain or like the friends you can meet, it's kind of hard to like imagine it.
Yeah.
So that's what I find.
So as we've discussed, the benefits to traveling or becoming a digital nomad are tremendously impactful in your life and your perspective as well. But what do you think are some of the cons of being a digital nomad? Because we know the benefits are endless, right? You grow, you gain perspective, you probably make better decisions, you meet amazing people.
Yeah.
But what do you think are the cons of being a digital nomad? Like,
Yeah, I think a pro and a con at the same time is like moving all the time, right? So it's just like if you can stay in one place, but like I'm moving a bit, so it's just like I guess that is like to have to be steady, and some people do want that. Like I was traveling with a friend who was in Medellin for a month, but like he doesn't want to do more than like 1 or 2 months in a time because like he values like just being in one place and being steady. So it's just like that could definitely be a con. Like you're moving around. Another con is like meeting people that are awesome and then they're leaving. So it's just like, oh, you're this awesome person, I want to hang out with you more. It's like, but you're leaving tomorrow. It's like that sucks.
I find it crazy that like it happens pretty often because I feel like most digital nomads have like the same old mindset, which makes like a connection genuine and good.
Yeah.
But I feel you though.
Yeah.
That's good. But let me see. I think the video paused. I'm gonna have to edit this later, but. All right. So we've spoken about why and how you became who you are as a digital nomad, and shown some perspective on your life philosophy and some benefits of being a digital nomad, as long as some cons of being a digital nomad. Is there any last keyword of advice you would want to give someone that would like to be like you or better, that they can take with them in their daily lives so that they can become like you or better? Like any last keyword of advice you would give yourself?
Yeah, I would just tell people, it's just like, get out of your bubble and like just try to go out and do things. Like you don't have to commit to like a long-term digital, like I'm gonna go for 2 years and you can just small steps just to get out of your bubble, like get out of your comfort zone and like really just try to learn new things. I think is like the biggest thing.
I agree. Would you agree with this stat that like at least 80% of people that give it a try end up like trying to keep going?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my god. Well, thank you so much, bro, for being part of this podcast and sharing your perspectives. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to listening for 20 to 30 minutes. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, man.
That was good. Precise.